Hundreds of cash-strapped players accept a strange invitation to compete in children's games, inside attempting prize awaits, with deadly high stakes. Today on Survive the Night podcast, we're talking the hit Netflix series Squid Game. Welcome back as we talk about whether we're kids or squids. I am Paula, and with me is my gunboo Homer.
I think I'm a squid. Definitely not a kid. Definitely not a kid.
Yeah, I am also definitely not a kid. Which is good, because kids should not be watching the brand new hit on Netflix, Squid Game, which is what we're going to be talking about here.
I'm sure there are kids watching it. If I were a kid, I would watch it.
Oh, totally. So just like a heads up, this is going to have some spoilers in it. I kind of like the idea of talking spoiler free and then being like, okay, from this point on, it's off, because then people can like listen to some of it, you know? And then it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I will watch that and come back. That's kind of what we're doing with TVP. And
gotcha.
I think it's a decent idea.
Yeah.
So we'll talk we'll do kind of a basic rundown of what is going on in the series, first of all, and then we will get into some major spoiler talk, and I have a whole bunch of hidden gems and trivia and info about stuff that went on behind the scenes, and like what some things mean and whatnot. So if you've already seen the series, you'll get a lot out of that. But if you haven't, none of that'll make any sense. So it's better that you watch it and then listen. But I'm excited to just talk about this thing.
Yeah, watch it. It's good.
It's very good. 9 episodes, about an hour-ish each.
Yeah.
I will say that if you don't like the first episode, you can probably stop, because it's not going to get it's not going to change much. But if those characters are compelling to you at all, you should keep on with it, for sure. I think that first episode does a really good job of just grabbing you and pulling you into it. But like if you don't feel it from that, I don't think you're going to, because it gets way bigger, but with kind of like a lot of stuff they set up there. Okay. I guess, so, whatever. We'll start with some basic facts. This originally was called Round 6. I think it might even be still called Round 6 to some people, because it was originally written as a movie and turned into a series later. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting in general. We'll get into like a lot of stuff. Basically everything with the detective, I'll say, was added. None of that existed because it was too long for a movie.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting, how much that kind of, I think, changes in my mind what that movie would have been.
Yeah, because the detective stuff is like my favorite part of the show. So,
and it's like extraordinarily important for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll start off just with a basic concept. So Squid Game is a game that was played in Korea by kids. I don't know if it still is, but it definitely was played by, like, I guess what we would call boomers now, essentially, or older generations when they were kids. And it was this weird game where you would like draw lines, almost like a hopscotch ring, but a little bit differently. And the object was a team would defend and a team would attack, and it would like literally be just kind of a brawl of who can get to the squid's head and tap it with their foot, or defend against it. It was kind of like their version of some weird like tackle football or something. And apparently people have said that like, yeah, it totally has ended in like friendships being ruined and like actual brawls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's I can't think of like what hour equivalent would be, but like I'm sure there was a game we had, I guess, in my well, we're part of the same generation, in our generation here, where you would throw a ball at a wall and catch it back and forth, and you could play with as many people as you want. If somebody caught the ball or like dropped it, they would have to run to the wall and touch it, and then if somebody else could pick up the ball that they fumbled, throw to the wall first, we got to throw it at them as hard as we could. So it's like just dumb kid stuff, right? Where you're hurting each other with like some stupid set of rules that don't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's what the series is kind of named after, and that's kind of like the opening scene just in general, where they're talking about what the Squid Game is, narration voice with like some stock footage of some kids playing it or whatever in black and white. And then it just kind of opens up to the main character of the series, Song Ji-hung, who is kind of a loser. I mean, an enormous loser, living at home with his mom because he is completely broke and bankrupt, stealing her money so he can buy his estranged daughter that he never really sees a present. But instead of doing that, he actually goes to the racetrack to bet on the horses.
Yeah, he's
because he is in major debt.
a complete gambling addict. Like everything he's doing, he's going back into gambling.
Yeah, just a major piece of shit. And yeah, I don't know. I guess we don't have to go too. There's some fun stuff with him. He's kind of like a character too, though. There's like a fun to him where he kind of is like loving life, even though it sucks for him for a bit. But then it like gets worse and worse. Specifically, there's a scene where he does hang out with his daughter because it's her birthday, and he finds out that they're moving to America. And he's basically never going to see her again, essentially. And yeah, he gets jumped by the loan shark gangsters that he's pissed off after winning a bunch of money that got stolen from him. Like, it's a real bad scene for him.
It is funny,
bad.
like, you see him go gambling like on horses, and he actually wins, but of course, like, he loses all that money almost immediately anyway. Yeah,
it's weird because you almost feel like good for him because he gets the money and he's happy, and he even tells the like cashier, keep 10,000 won for like your coffee or something, like for coffee. and of course shit goes bad. He gets jumped, or he runs away from the gangsters, and in the process loses the money somehow. He gets pickpocketed, we find out in a little bit after that, but
he runs into a woman who is definitely going to be a character. As soon as you see her, you're like, oh, okay, that's another one.
And then it's like just this really fucked up scene of them beating the shit out of him in the bathroom, and him having like an ice pick threateningly stuck into his nose, like they're going to fucking poke his brain out, and it's fucked up.
I forgot about that part.
That left an impression on me. That bothered me a lot. I really didn't like it.
I'm used to seeing so many crime movies that like it's not a big deal, but it does stand out like once I remember it.
Yeah, that I guess like also just a thing to note. The scenes are like shot beautifully. There's like a really airy, open quality to how it looks when he wins. And he's like outside having a smoke and everything's normal. But that scene is really claustrophobic feeling. And like the bathroom is lit with this shitty green tint. Like, yeah, they do a lot of good like visual stuff just throughout the series. And I'm sure we'll talk about more specific things as we go.
The show looks fantastic.
It's absolutely shot like brilliantly in a lot of ways. Anyways, so that's all kind of the build up, which is important because we find our beaten, battered hero waiting for a train at the train station, and he is asked by a man in a suit to play a game called Dakji or something like that. I can't pronounce things well from Korean words, so apologies. Which is essentially Korean Pogs.
Yeah, except like it's
Yeah.
two folded up pieces of
Like envelopes
paper.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
thick.
So here is a fun fact. The reason why they're red and blue, a lot of people thought it had something to do with the red pill or blue pill sort of thing. The actual reason is because there is a story or legend of a ghost named Akamanto in Korean culture that asks you questions while you're in the bathroom about whether or not you want the red envelope or the blue envelope, or if he's wearing a red cloak or blue cloak. And the thing is that if the ghost asks you and you answer, you die no matter what. So you can't. The only way to beat him is to not answer and to like run away, which is kind of like the foreshadowing in their culture of like what is to come, basically. It is kind of weird that we find out that everybody chooses a blue envelope later, but that's weird. Anyways,
my piece of trivia for this scene is this guy who challenged him to the game is an actor, Gong Yu, who is like the major actor in this I recognize, because like in 2016 he was in 2 movies that was in my top 10 list for the year. Train to Busan, and I also really liked The Age of Shadows, which he also starred in and came out that same year.
Yeah, this show is chock full of weird cameos of like really big Korean stars.
Yeah,
and it's kind of interesting. And not only like film. I mean, one of the main people in it is like a famous Korean model or something. It's weird.
Yeah. This just happened to be the one that I super recognized.
Gone You, yeah. It's very, very cool. Anyways, he sucks at Pogs, our hero. He loses a lot, and the idea is for everyone he wins, he'll be given money. For everyone he loses, he's going to get slapped in the face. And we see a montage of him getting the shit slapped.
He gets slapped so many times. His face looks so fucked up by the end.
It's really bad. He does eventually win. It's really good. He eventually wins one, and there's this gag of like, he's about to slap the dude back because he's so angry that he's been hit all this time.
Yeah.
That he forgot the actual prize's money, and he just like reluctantly takes it. I thought that was a great visual gag.
Yeah.
Anyways, after all of this, basically, it's obvious that the dude was waiting for him to win one so that he could say, you could win more by playing games just like this if you call us here, and gives him a card. And he just kind of like leaves after that. Jihoon takes the card and just kind of thinks it over. He eventually does. There's a phone number on it. He eventually calls it. He goes to a spot that he's told where to go, and is basically kidnapped. Essentially, he's put in a van and gassed, so he's asleep. Wakes up in a place with 455 other people, and this is where we kind of learn that the whole premise of this show is a Hunger Games or Battle Royale type scenario where a bunch of people are playing a game to win a 45.6 billion won, which in American isn't great, but I mean it's still like 40 million roughly, a little less.
Yeah.
But it's much less than I would accept for risking my life against 450 other people.
Yeah.
And so that's the basis of the show, is the game and kind of what it does to these people. I think the thing that I like the most about it, and I've kind of said this in the Discord and whatever, is that Battle Royale specifically is kind of just like a weird gore porn shock thing of like seeing kids kill each other, and just like it has a little bit of satire and like political stance in there, but not really. And it's all in the very, very beginning of just like there's overpopulation, bad kids are sent to an island to kill each other to survive, or what, and one can survive, or something stupid like that. Hunger Games is very much a kids like young adult novel with some political intrigue going on in there. This, I feel, is a battle royale for like character development and like relationships between the characters in and weirdly out of the game. And I liked that about it the most, I think. I thought it was really well written to be like a character drama in what's going on here. Okay. I guess, like, if I'm going to be honest, that's probably going to be it for non-spoilery talk, because I almost don't want to say what the games are for some, like, maybe we should talk about one game that like is kind of everywhere and people have been talking about anyway.
It's in
the first game.
It's still first episode stuff, so.
Sure. So we meet a bunch of the what's going to be main characters of this show. And we find out what the first game is, or they all find out what the first game is that they're going to be playing. And it is what we over here call red light, green light, which is one person stands at the end of a field or whatever. Anytime they say red light, people have to stop. When they say green light, people can walk or run or whatever towards them. And the first person to the end essentially wins. If you move when red light is being said, you're out. And in this case, it means you are shot in the fucking head. Basically.
People don't take kindly to the part where people start getting shot in the head. It doesn't go well.
Yeah. So just to add some more like context or trivia to this, the reason why this game was chosen apparently as the first game is because they needed a game to basically cull like at least half, and it's pretty good at doing that because once the first person dies, a whole bunch of people freak out while it's still red light, and they're just fucking massacred.
Look, I watched that scene. If you're being technical, literally all of them should be dead.
Yeah. It's a little lenient. Like, I guess it has to account for people breathing.
Well, so their explanation on some of it is, like, you're only being judged by, like, the cameras in the... It's, like, the doll's eyes. So if you're behind someone, it's not going to see you move.
That's right. Right, yeah.
So, like, if people who are behind people, not everyone is going to get shot that way.
And I'm pretty sure they actually, like, exploit that, some people. They, like, it just straight up shows them walking behind.
Yep.
Yeah. That kind of is the first episode, just in general. That's kind of where it ends, is after that game. There's a cool moment where the main character gets saved by the Deus Ex Machina of another person's humanity. There's some good shit in there.
Both being willing to catch him and being strong enough to just like immediately stop him.
It's so that scene is like really cool. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, if any of this sounds interesting, I implore you to stop now. Go watch it, come back, because we're going to get into very specific things, and it gets pretty crazy. I just don't want anybody to be disappointed.
Just another thing about from the first episode is just like all the guards at this place where they are wearing like pink hoodies and have these masks where they have either a triangle, a circle, or a square on their mask.
Their PlayStation.
Yeah. And it sort of denotes their ranks. And that look of those masks was kind of what made me want to watch the show, just because just seeing shots of just how good the show looked was kind of what drew me in the first place. Other than people saying it was good.
It's weird, actually. This isn't spoiler talk yet either. I was reading something because Squid Game has been kind of talked about how Netflix does its thumbnailing. And the reason why I watched it was because the thumbnail for it looked interesting. And I watched episode 1 and then I was like, okay, that was neat. And then it blew up online and I was like, oh, I need to finish this series now because it's going to get spoiled 100%. I can't put it off. But apparently what Netflix does is they have like, I think like 5 or 6 versions of a thumbnail. And if it detects that you scroll past it when it looks like a certain way, it'll actually change it to look more like other shows that you've clicked on to draw your eye to it so you look at it. And I thought that was super weird and interesting because I think Squid Game has been on here for a little bit longer than when I started watching it. But I didn't notice it until it had this really bright, like pink colored dude on it. And then like the staircase that they walk on as like the backdrop. And I totally just didn't notice it before. And I think I got hit with that algorithm thing, which is interesting and kind of fucked up. I'm glad I did, but it's super weird to know that like I got played essentially.
Yeah, I just got played because it became after it blew up. So then
it blew up real quick, like within a week.
Yeah.
Okay. From here on, there's going to be spoilery talk, and it's gonna get like really spoilery talk when we get to a certain point. Maybe we'll even denote then, because that's kind of when the drop happens. So, all right. So that's kind of episode 1, just in general. Obviously we like see some more of the main players, but they're not really dived into at all until episode 2. So in episode 2, the players go along with one of the rules of the game, which is that if the majority state that they want it to be done, the game ends and they can all go home. So they do a poll where everybody has to kind of vote for stay or nay, essentially, in the big like mess hall room that they're in, the dorm. And weirdly enough, they all vote, well, the majority vote to leave. And this whole episode is actually nothing about the game and all about the main characters that we're going to be following more and kind of their backstory or a little bit more about them. And I thought that was like a super ballsy way to do stuff in episode 2, to just kind of like go in the opposite direction of what you ended off in.
Yeah, totally. Like, and then they all go home. In episode
like
2.
Instantly. Yeah. Like right at the beginning. It is a slower episode in general, but it's pretty important in building who these characters are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those.
I mean, we also get introduced to the detective character who's like investigating his missing brother.
Stuff. Yeah, Hwang Jun-ho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is and that stuff is my favorite part of the show for reasons I'll get into, but
yeah, for sure. So yeah, they all sent back home or dropped off where they were. We can say now that like the spoilery people are gone or whatever, in theory. We find out that one of the girls in the game is the thief that stole his money.
Yes.
At the beginning of the series. And they kind of get dropped off together and have a moment where he helps her get free and she just kind of fucks off.
Well, she's about to leave, and then he's like, no, it's fine. Let me go. I'll forget about the money you owe me. And she's like, okay. And she cuts him open, and then as soon as she, like, frees his hands, he's like, all right, now give me my money. He, like, goes...
Yeah.
He, like, completely 180s on it immediately, and then she fucks off.
It's a pretty good moment,
like,
for sure.
He's single-minded in his, at any given moment.
Now I see why you like him. He has a very clear motivation of money.
Uh-huh.
I think I've heard that one before.
Yeah, man.
think I've heard that one before. But yeah, so they get dropped off in pairs, and we do get a little bit of decent character building interaction right from the get go here, specifically between two others of the game that are pretty important. Cho Sang Woo, and Abdul Ali. Cho Sang Woo is a childhood friend of the main character Song Gi Hun, and yeah, we kind of like get a little bit of information about him. But there's a good moment where they get dropped off together, and he is like, he's broke, but also obviously is like, feels like he needs to show that he's like more elite by giving the like Pakistani man some money for the bus home and helping him with the phone or whatever. It's weird because we find out that Sang Woo is not in great monetary terms, but he's still like giving money out because I think it's a class thing. So I have been told that a lot of stuff that happens with the writing of the characters in the show is because of like very strong class ideas and stuff in Korea. I guess in Asia in general, but in Korea. Mm-hmm. And that's like a character later is the street smart lady who like never was sent to school, and apparently like that's a trope, a pretty big trope. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like class kind of warfare stuff going on in here, and it's just kind of interesting that like Sang-woo is obviously the main character out of all of them that is supposed to be upper class, or at least thinks he is, even though he's kind of fucked as well. And that plays a little bit here where it's kind of the only time also that he's like a human being. Like he's kind of a piece of shit throughout the rest of the show. But it's a cool moment between those two specifically, and they kind of have a good foundational kind of thing going on here, which will come back hard in a later episode.
Yeah.
And of course, we talked about the main character Gi-hun and the and Se-byok. I can't say her name like at all. Is that Se-byok? Yeah, I think it is. The lady who robbed him. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anybody else we really follow here, like at the beginning. I know we get a little bit more side story eventually from all of them, but
yeah, we get another conversation with the old man. Meets up with Gi-hun outside a bodega.
Outside like a convenience store or whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I guess that's another character that we met momentarily, is an old man that was part of the games that isn't necessarily in debt or like hurting for money, but has dementia and doesn't want to spend the last of his days in a bed, is kind of like what they're going for.
He has brain cancer.
Yeah.
He's number 1.
He is 001. Yep, he is number 1.
And I think we're told that everyone's like their numbers correspond to like the order in which they signed up.
When they signed up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This whole episode is basically, it's called Hell, and it's basically just the reason why these characters go back into the game, because they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't even remember if it's necessarily at the end of this episode or the beginning of the next one. I think it's the beginning of the next one. But we kind of find out about,
I think by the end of this episode they are going back. I think they're getting on the boat at the end of this one. But it's been a little while.
It might actually end with him being knocked out from the gas. It's somewhere in there. I guess the big things here is we find out Ji-hun's mother needs pretty bad medical procedure done, because she like has a moment when he gets back home, and it's really shitty. Also
she has diabetes and her feet are all fucked up.
Yeah. Also, he goes to the cops to like try to get some help, and that's where we meet Hwang Jun-ho. And he's kind of interested because he shows the same card that his brother had in his dorm or whatever when he went to go check up on him.
Yeah.
We find out Sang-woo is committed fraud against his clients, which is kind of what he's on the run for and why he hasn't seen his mother and why he's needing money.
Yeah.
We find out, we talked about the old man. We find out that Se-byuk is trying to, or is a defector from North Korea who's trying to smuggle her family out.
And get her brother out of, like, orphanage.
Like a child home or something.
Yeah.
A child care facility. Abdul Ali is, first of all, one of the best characters, but also kind of on the run because he assaulted his boss for his paycheck, stole money from him, and basically took his family out of where they were, and needs money.
Like, he hasn't been paid by his boss, and he's lost a couple fingers on the job.
And we do meet Deok-soo here, Deok-soo or whatever, the gangster that's on the run from other gangsters or whatever.
He's like, he tries to like come up with a plan to like organize gangsters to like fucking take it to the Squid Game organizers to steal that money, but
that drives off a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nobody's gonna listen to him. Turns out.
Yeah. So this episode is fully about, these are going to be your main players in the TV series, not just the game. So you need to know more info about them. And us as the audience, we're like, okay, cool. It's a little long feeling and like definitely not what I signed up for, but it's setting up the stage and I get it. That's kind of this episode in general. Because at the end of it, they all decide to join back on the game. Only this time, Detective Junho also decides he's going to tag along and kind of like goes underneath one of the cars as it's crossing to go on a ferry, because apparently they're on an island, we find out here as well. So the cars that pick them up go on a ferry and kind of stows away. And that's oh no, it doesn't end there, because I think does he kill the guard here? No, that might be the next episode.
No, because he does it on the ferry. He kills a guard, swaps clothes with him, and pushes that guy off.
And then jumps in the car. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, he's like just pushed the corpse off the boat, and then he gets like asked what he's doing while he's in the costume. And he puts his he puts his ID on the body he throws overboard too.
Yeah. Like pretty smart. Honestly.
Yeah.
Episode 3, they
so the other thing I just wanted to say about episode 2 is that plotline of them leaving an island and wanting to go back just incredibly made me think of Lost. So I would just Jack from Lost shouting, "We have to go back! We have to go back!"
Totally. Yep. Yeah, I agree.
And also just like a plot line of these characters who were in this like other world, and now they're back in their real lives, and their real lives are shit. That also made me think of Lost.
Totally. Yeah. Just complete garbage. Also, like really driving home that they need money.
Yeah.
Like, why they would maybe risk all this for 40 million. I don't know, if you're like being chased down by the cops and investigative clientele and whatever because you committed fraud. Sure would be nice to be able to just pay everybody back and like not go to jail forever if you had the option. Who knows?
But look, and as an audience, it's nice to watch people in a battle royale who aren't fucking whining about it. Get over yourselves, characters.
Yeah, honestly,
you chose this.
It is kind of an interesting idea too, to show that they chose a battle royale and they weren't forced upon it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
But it's also because like at some point they're like whining about it early on. It's like that's also them just being people who try to scam people, and like make a show of doing stuff so they can get what they want. It's just the kind of people who would do this.
Sure. All right, next episode, they wake up back in the dorms. They chose to be here. We all know it. They know it. So they start to play the game like it's a game. They start to talk to each other, make little alliances, or try to figure out what the next game's going to be by finding out clues and all that sort of thing. This is kind of where we find that Sang-woo Ji-hong, we only know him as Player 1 currently because he doesn't know his name because of dementia from the tumor. And Abdullah Lee form kind of like a 4-man band, essentially. They group up together.
Yeah.
The gangster crew essentially gang up together. There's this like homely streetwise chick that's hanging out with them. I'm just trying to pull up her name here because I don't remember it off the top of my head. Hong Min Yao is her. And she joins up with the gangster guy that we kind of got some time with, Doksu, and some other like no-name cronies like that are just there, I guess.
Strong
obviously not going to be the team that the series spends a lot of time on. So it's a kind of annoying when you
spend more time on that squad than we do like any other squad.
It's kind of annoying just like being able to meta knowledge your way through what's maybe going to happen to characters, because it's like, no, he's a main character. There's no way he's dying in episode 2.
Yeah. I mean, also there are a lot of people in this game that we learn nothing about. There's a lot of fodder, like just humans.
Fun fact: every one of them was cast and is an actor. None of them are digitally printed or.
That's
extras.
Pretty good.
It's kind of interesting, right? So like,
yeah, because like
they cast all of them.
Yeah, because like when you're watching that first scene, you're like, did they like fudge these numbers? Because there looked like a lot of bodies piled up on that door. But
yeah, no. Apparently, everything like somebody was cast to be number like 320, whatever that we never even see.
That's great. That's great continuity management for shots and stuff.
It probably just makes it easier because apparently every set in this was made. Like very little of it is CG or like effects.
Yeah,
which makes sense because if you have that many people, man, could you imagine the nightmare of like trying to do something in CG with 300 people in the way? Yeah,
it's like it's a different kind of work. This is like This is like keeping your stuff neat beforehand so that you don't have to do a lot of work afterwards or whatever.
Totally. Yep. Yeah, no, it's good shit. So yeah, it's kind of funny because most of the players come back that we saw. In fact, I guess if we want to talk about the fact that they hired 456 people to be the extras, literally all of the ones that survived came back because why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
For the thing. And this is where we start getting some game playing, as it were. I'm just going to refer to it as 67 because that's her number. But the main girl, 67, sneaks into the air vents kind of at night by sneaking along with the other streetwise girl who pretends that she needs to go to the bathroom so she can smoke. and she observes the kitchen staff making giant quantities of something that she can't really tell.
Yeah.
She knows it's like sugar in a liquid of some sort, because I think it even just says like sugar, or it's very obvious anyway.
We also get the dude taking his egg to the bathroom and like pulling out a message in it that says honeycomb.
Yeah. So there's another dude who's getting insider information from somebody.
Yeah.
We find out, and he's kind of working with the gangster team currently, because obviously physically they're going to be the strongest presence and most likely one to win.
I think he doesn't team up with, because he doesn't team up with them till later when he gets like, he gets nervous about shit and gets told off or whatever. That happens by the next game, I think, but that's a while from now.
Yeah. I think it's the next episode, just in general.
Yeah.
This whole thing ends up being that we find out the next game is where you have to pick out a shape out of a candy called Dalgona. And yeah, it's called honeycomb. So that's kind of the whole episode. So there's some interesting stuff going on in here where Sang-woo kind of figures out what the game is going to be.
Yeah.
Based on some clues, and decides to keep it for himself. And not only that, but kind of try to get the others killed by suggesting they all choose a different shape to do. And of course, our main character does the absolute worst shape of the umbrella, which I found hilarious. It's such a bad shape to have to do. So what were the shapes? There's a circle, a triangle, a star, and an umbrella. The four shapes. I believe he takes the triangle because it's like the easiest one. I think Ali takes the circle. The old man, or player one, whatever you want to call him, takes the star, and then he takes the umbrella. And the idea is they're supposed to cut the shape out in any way they can. They can crack the cookie, they can pick at it, whatever, it doesn't matter, as long as no part of it's broken. So obviously any part, like an umbrella with a thin part associated with it, is a bad choice.
What a nightmare.
It's a real big nightmare. Obviously Ali and Sang-woo are fine. They get through their shapes. Everybody kind of has their own weird like time. Like you see some extras cutting the shapes out, and then like they break a little bit of the circle or something, and then just like getting shot in the face, and like it's really a brutal scene for the people that cracked their cookie. And they also have a time limit, which is part of the scariness with all of this as well. So after some lucky sweating onto the cookie and seeing that it like dissolved the sugar, and some quick thinking, Gi-hung takes the cracker cookie thing, the candy out, and just starts licking it furiously to be able to like set it free from, because it's thinner where the stamp was, right?
And other people see him doing this and start doing it too,
including the old man, who is also behind. And there's just this disgusting moment of him licking that thing furiously, and it made me super uncomfortable, and I felt really gross watching it. I really didn't like that at all. Of course, they're the main characters, and it's a show, so the old man and him do it in like the last second, essentially. They get it done. They're safe. Everybody else gets executed summarily, except for one dude who is able to take one of the pink guards prisoner, by grabbing his gun from him, one of the dudes that lost or whatever, holds him up, says, "Take off your mask, I want to see your face," and he just takes off his mask, and it's, I don't know, like another Korean dude or whatever.
Yeah.
That looking kind of blankly at him. And it's the first time we've seen one of them without a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was supposed to be like some big reveal or something, or if it was just meant to be like, yeah, it's just a normal dude. There's like nothing evil with him or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really, what it's really meant to do is when the big bad comes down, the front man comes down to like quell his situation, he shoots the guard whose face has been revealed and says, if they see your face, you're dead or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is important because the detective who's been kind of working in the background throughout this needs a new identity, essentially, because his is starting to be suspicious as number, I think, 29 or something like that. So it gives him an opportunity to kind of sleight of hand this dude's mask who got murdered here.
Literally,
and, like, take on a new thing.
Literally, the dude who gets taken hostage and his mask revealed, what is like, he's a square, so he's a
he's
manager.
a higher up.
And he literally talks to our detective saying, you haven't killed anyone. We're going to talk after this. And then he gets murdered. Yeah. So that's cleaned up. Yeah. And he gets to swipe that mask so he can be a square later on.
Yeah. I guess just talking about the detective, not a whole lot happened. This whole episode, any parts that he was in was him trying to fit in, and we see a little bit of the background of where, was it a triangle or a circle? What's the low triangles are
medium
soldiers.
Yeah,
right?
Circles are the lowest rank.
So he was a worker.
Yeah.
And just like, it's interesting because without the detective part, you wouldn't see any of the background stuff, which I found kind of interesting, of them like living in little cells, and they're kind of like none of that exists without adding that character.
Yeah, because I was watching, cool. Even like in the first episode, I was like, man, but what's it like for these fucking dudes in the mask? Like, what's their job like? And then we get that through the eyes of this detective who's on the other side. And I was like, hell yeah.
That part just doesn't exist if this is a movie, if this stays as a movie, which is crazy.
And I think it's like getting that view of it is like really sets this apart compared to like other battle royales for me in terms of just like what we're seeing.
Totally, I agree. So that's kind of episode 3 in a nutshell. Episode 4 is where we meet player 111, the doctor, really.
Yeah.
And we find out he's given information about the game because he is working with some, not defectors, but some people trying to make a quick buck on the side. Some of the pink, I'm just going to refer to them as ants because that's kind of what they're supposed to represent, apparently.
Sure.
The worker ants.
Their whole setup is so complicated. It doesn't actually make sense for how little they're getting out of this and how dangerous this is.
Totally. So
but
some
it's
of them
cool.
have decided,
I love it.
Some of them have decided that instead of burning all the bodies, what if we just like had a fake bottom to one of the incinerators, stole the body, stole the organs from it, and then sold them on the black market? Which honestly makes me wonder like why they're not doing, like, I know it's for a game for rich people, which we find out later, but like, why not make that extra money, right? I'm just saying, you can never have too much, I don't think. Anyway, so we find out about what's going on, and the doctor is helping them do this kind of black market organ harvesting thing. Yeah, this is where he actually joins the team. You're right. With
because he's what is it? They tell him like there's gonna be a riot. I think they tell him the riot's gonna happen at night, and he should find a squad to keep himself safe.
Right.
Because I think he's seen like the thing where some people didn't get food,
one person didn't get food, and he started oh, you're talking about the doctor. Yes, that there's going to be a riot that night because they are going to withhold food from a couple people or one person or something, and it's going to start a riot, essentially. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if it happened before, but they kind of find out. No, it didn't happen before yet. It happens actually here, where there's the problem happens. One of the players kills another one, and nothing happens except the prize money goes up.
Yeah.
And that's when they figure out, oh, we can fucking end this now. I'm gonna kill 400 people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of when it's like, there's going to be a riot tonight. Find a corner and like hide, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of where this is where 67 also joins the main group and becomes kind of the fifth in their little gang.
Mm-hmm.
And the street smart girl joins the other gang, I don't know what the Toughs, Dioksu's gang or whatever. So like, more
and she had
kind of, grouping
in the honeycomb game. She had snuck in like cigarettes and a lighter. So she was like heating up her pick to get the honeycomb out, and then she shared her lighter with the gangster dude.
Yeah, they're like on friendly terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, a riot happens. When lights go out, so do the lives of like maybe 100 people or something. Like, a lot of people get fucking murdered in the dorm room.
Yeah.
Nobody does shit about it until player one jumps up onto the top bunk somewhere and starts saying that he's scared and everybody needs to stop now. And then all of a sudden, magically, it stops. Interesting. Anyway, so the frontman sends the soldiers to stop the riot, and there's some conversation. This is where we actually find out that the players' names. We find out Ali Abdul is his name, and he's from Pakistan. Kang Sang-byok is the lady that stole from him at the beginning. And we find out player one doesn't remember his name, or at least just doesn't.
They ask him his name, and he says he doesn't remember.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, I don't know, my brain's broke, sort of thing. And then, of course, Sang-woo and Ji-hong know each other, so
yeah,
obviously they know each other's names, so it's not a big deal. After the lights go out, Jung-ho, the detective, we see gets a message in Morse code from his neighbor in the guard area.
Yeah. Well, it turns out the number 29 person that he killed initially was part of this scheme, and then he didn't show up like the previous night.
Yeah.
Because the detective didn't know he needed to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to remember this is where they talk about the next game, and the next game they're going to have to form groups of 10, which is kind of a fitting thing because this was kind of the episode where bigger groups were starting to form anyways.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. And our main crew went about it was every person, because there was 5 of them already, was to go out and pick another person to join the team, essentially for their 10. And this is where we get introduced to some side players, including a younger girl that gets brought in by 46 named, she has like a one name thing and I can't remember what it is. Ji Young, that's what it is. I'm trying to remember who else all gets brought in at this point.
The religious dude.
Stop. Right, we got a religious nut who kind of lost God at some point.
Yeah.
Probably because, all the murder that usually does it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
People.
Some just like, I'm just trying to, I think it's just people that are there for fodder to die at some point. Was it the man and his wife?
No. Well, no, because they talk to that dude, but then he's like, "But I have to bring my wife," and it's
right. And he's like, "No, sorry, men only."
Yeah, because it's Sung-woo is insistent on only getting men.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where that ends, is where they pick their team or whatever, because we find out at the very end of it, the reason they pick teams of 10 is they are playing tug of war. Credits. And then, of course, our main team is the one with 2 girls, an old decrepit man, and I guess like a few regular dudes. Like they're fucked, basically.
And this is where the gangsters like ditch Min Young, right?
That's right, because there's one too many people, I think, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't split off evenly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that this one? I think so. I think that's right. No, that isn't right. That's the marble game.
Oh, that's
the
marble game, right? So she joins our main cast, this one, right? Because the old dude doesn't find somebody.
Right.
And it does split off evenly. So she just gets
her way
joins
the main team. Crew.
Yeah,
because they wanted men only, because they knew it was tug of war and they didn't want a girl on their team for it.
Yeah. Because the doctor is joined up with them and is feeding the information of what the game is now. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is right after they had like a fuck in the toilet, and basically she said, if you like backstab me, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah, and then he immediately backstabs her.
Like the next day, not even like 12 hours later. So yeah, we find out it's tug of war, and it kind of ends with that happening. I think it might actually end with one of the teams, that team specifically, gangster team, going up and annihilating another group of 10, killing them all.
Yeah.
And then our group being up next.
And this is the part where it's like really clear how many people there are left that are not characters, because we only know anyone on 2 of these teams.
Not only that, but when those 2 teams are done, we don't see more of the game.
Yeah.
We just move on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, yeah, the bruisers, I'll call them, go up first, and they win because they're full of gangsters, thugs, strongmen, and like nothing weak.
Literally just the strongest dudes teamed up.
Yep. So they win, and then our team goes up, and that's kind of where the episode ends, with kind of like what's going to happen next sort of thing.
Yeah.
Tune in next time. Luckily, next time was literally 1 minute later. So they kind of start talking strategies, specifically, we don't know his name yet. So player 1, I keep wanting to say his name, but we might as well just keep calling him player 1 or old man, because that's kind of still how I know him, even though I know his name now.
Yeah.
So player 1 devises a strategy of using their like weight, but like folding backwards essentially, to like decrease the amount they can pull or whatever.
Actual tug of war strategy.
Actual tug of war.
Having an anchor. Pulling
Yes.
together rhythmically.
Yep. All these things. There's one important strategy of where they're going to give up all of this. They're going to give slack at some point to throw them off, the other team off balance, and then they can just like grip and pull them completely off when they're struggling to get back up, essentially. Like,
yeah, that's the call that they make in the middle of it. The big thing at the start, though, is that they just like try to lie down all at the start so they don't just immediately lose.
Yes. Yeah. They have strats, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're going to MLG in Tug of War.
They have strats, then those strats basically almost they still lose, and then they pivot to the giving slack strat.
Yeah, those strats were bad. Giving slack strat was really bad, but worked out, thankfully. It's like rushing down mid, essentially. It's just the worst idea, but it worked.
Their advantage was that the other team's strats didn't exist. The other team had 0 strats. Negative strats.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Did not know how Tug of War works.
So they win, and we kind of stop watching the game. We don't see any of the other teams participate. Because they're not main characters, so they don't matter. Which is almost kind of a bummer, but I know this isn't about the actual games. Like, I know in my heart of hearts, that's not what it's about, but I kind of would have liked to see it, because why not? Anyways, they go back into the dorm. They're like, yo, there's going to be another ride tonight, because why wouldn't there be? We should build up barricades, and that's kind of like what other people start doing, too. They're getting ready for another night of terror, essentially.
My favorite part of during the building of the barricade stuff is where the gangster dude comes over to Gihan, is like taunting him, like, none of this is going to stop me. And then Gihan's like, do you really trust any of the people you're with, that they won't betray you, like, the moment they have the opportunity? And he's like shaken, like, oh, you're right. Fuck.
It's like, it's probably a bad idea to trust anybody.
None of these people are trustworthy. So he actually, once it comes night, he's like, no, we're not attacking anyone. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. So they decide to take night watches together, and that's kind of like where the main group stuff ends for right now, because a lot of this episode goes on about Jung-ho learning about what's going on with the black market organ dealers and that whole side of things. Because of what we were saying with the one guard saying like 29 or whatever, like trying to get him to go with him. So we find out this is what they're doing. They're harvesting organs with the doctor kind of at the forefront, making sure that they actually get the organ and don't kill it before they're able to sell it or whatever they do with it. But the front man catches on and executes basically all of them, I guess, and finds out that I don't remember if he knew already that there was an imposter, or if this is where he found out that there was an imposter among his crew or whatever. I don't remember, because he sees him go in the tunnel or something. I don't remember how this works out, but I know that this is where the front man starts kind of like a manhunt for somebody that is hiding out in the facility somewhere. And also where Jung-ho breaks into his office and finds a bunch of files about the different contestants over the years or whatever, and that his brother Hwang In-ho was the winner 5 years prior to that, or 6 years, 2015.
Because it things unravel because Jung-ho gets found out, and then he shoots some of them and then runs away, and then the doctor runs away, and one of the dudes tracks him down and is like, no, it's fine, we can just get you, it's no big deal. If a guard goes missing, that's not a problem, but if a player goes missing, that's a big deal. We'll just slip you back in, you can go back to what we were doing, it's fine.
I remember. They take him down to the secret dock where the VIPs can escape if they need to from the island.
Yeah, they're oxygen tanks down there.
To get rid of, or to move the organs out. And that's when he shoots him in the back of the head and throws him off the dock. And the detective, does it to one of the other guards. And that's kind of because the front man stumbles onto the what's going on anyways, but he's like in a bad position, so he kills the one dude and is fucks off basically.
And like, and also like a big point of contention here is the front man is like, I don't care if you're doing organ trading. What I cannot abide is you giving information to one of the players. They all need to be equal in the game.
Yeah.
Which is interesting given what happens later.
They're all executed for cheating.
Yeah.
Not for like the actual harvesting organs or playing with dead people. It's literally because they're cheated in the game. Yes. And that's not cool. I can abide by that. I can get down with that rule. I understand it. Okay. This is kind of where things started to like click for me this next episode. And this is really, so the next episode is called Gangbu. This is the episode where I finally started putting together that old man has something to do with this. I don't know how, but he has something to do with it. Like directly. And we'll talk about why in a second here. Junho watches the front man take a call and speaks in English about how things will be like better for the VIPs or whatever before the VIPs are arriving. Yeah. Apparently some VIPs are coming. We find out here.
VIPs.
This is where the players are told that for the next game, they're going to have to pair up. Obviously, Ji-Hung wants to pair up with Sang-woo, but he's already asking Ali to be his partner.
Yeah.
Ji-Hung ends up with player one, the old man, and that's where the title comes from. Gangbu is a term for like a friend, an old friend, close friend, or a partner of some sort. But the way they describe it in the show is, you know, when you played marbles as a kid, you would have your gangbu, the guy that you would always play marbles with, and you would store your stuff at their house. And he's like, oh, right, gangbu. Okay, yes, I know this term or whatever. So they become, this is kind of like the integral moment where these two characters, even outside of the game, like one of them at least considers the other a friend, and it kind of like shapes how some stuff goes from here on.
Yeah.
All of these titles also of these episodes are like extremely important with background information in a weird way. Or they're just, like the next episode's called VIPs. Obviously there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But like the ones that are translations, apparently we lose some of the like double meaning in that, and that sucks in English, but whatever. What can you do? Saebyok hangs out with we don't know her name yet because we learn it here, but a girl named Ji Young. The two girls team up together because nobody else wants to team up with girls because they're weak. And I think one of the characters is literally like they just can't beat a man at anything. They're like the worst for games and will always win the game. It's like what a weird statement for a character to say, but yeah, okay. Sure, man. Anyways, everybody's grouped together except for Minyo, who is the street smart lady who is alone and starts freaking out and saying that they're all bastards or whatever, specifically Thug Guy, because he backstabbed her yet again, and she's obviously going to be executed because if you can't play, you're going to be eliminated. Eliminated means you're dead. She's dead, blah, blah, blah. And she's freaking out about it, and we don't see her again for now.
Yep.
They get taken into an area that is shaped or made to look like an old back alley in like some part of a town or whatever, where they're each given a bag of marbles and told you can play whatever games with these you want, but the player who is able to take the other's marbles wins or whatever, essentially. There's some really weird loose rules here that make this the easiest game so far to be like, technically we both won, but nobody in this show seems to know how that works. So that's kind of weird. We'll talk about theories afterwards. But anyways, yeah, as long as one character takes the other's marbles and they're left with nothing, they are the winner. They can go, essentially.
Yeah.
And they're given like half an hour to play whatever games they want. It's kind of an interesting way to do this episode too, because you can just do a whole bunch of different games with marbles, it turns out. As long as you have, if kids have like a thing they can throw and count as a point,
yeah,
they can like make a million games essentially. And that's what marbles are. So some of them play classic marbles where they're like trying to push closer to an object or like push each other out of an area. A lot of them do this gambling one where they put a certain amount of marbles in each hand and then they have to guess even or odd. And if the other player is right in their guess, they have to give whatever marbles they had. They're essentially like holding their bet. They have to give that amount, or vice versa. If they're wrong, the player that guessed has to give the amount that they had in their hand. That seems to be like the one a lot of them use, probably because it's easiest to shoot for a show, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, we only really see people like playing, like throwing marbles and marbles in like background.
The background. Yeah. There's like a pretty funny moment where the gangster dude is like with one of his cronies, like some no name that gets some screen time in this episode. And he's like almost out in the first like 5 minutes. Yeah. He sucks. And like he only has like one or a couple left. So they switch up games, because that's one of the rules also, is that if the partner wants to switch up a game for fairness, they can or whatever. So they switch from, I think they were doing the betting game and he just sucked at it. And he made the game a game where he just like went to a sandy spot, put a hole in the ground, and said like whoever gets their marble into the hole gets any marbles that are on the ground at the time. Yeah. And it's just like the most obvious, like, I'm going to take this one marble and make it 20, baby. And it's such bullshit. But yeah.
Yeah. But well, it's easy. You just challenge the other guy's manhood and then he'll agree to it anyway.
Yeah.
He's got to be tough.
Yeah, kind of, because gangsters, right? I think he like even calls him like a chicken or something, which is what pushes him more and more. So easy. Stupid. God, it's so fucking stupid. The girl team kind of just like goes a completely different route, and they just talk the whole time. Yeah, they don't play like, a single game.
Well, they decided like we'll just do one thing at the end, when time's almost stuff. But like, there's no reason to do all this other shit. That's a waste of time. Let's just talk to each other.
Yeah. Sangwoo and Ali, I think they play the gambling game as well.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know Gi-hun and Player 1 do.
Because both of those groups play the gambling game.
Yeah. Player 1 spends a lot of time being a dementia patient, walking around and being like, this looks like my old street. My house is down here or whatever. And like he really plays it aloof and silly. But I will say this is where I started getting on to him. I'm like, oh, he designed this. Like that's what his thing is. He's obviously a designer of some sort. Yeah. Or whatever. You know what I mean?
So like, a lot of the time is Gi-hun trying to like wrangle him into playing the game with him.
Like any game.
Yeah. Like as soon as it's revealed that they're going to be playing against your partner, it's not like you and your partner versus other people, his dementia starts acting up. Conveniently.
Yeah.
Suddenly he doesn't know where he is. Or whatever.
So I have this problem when I watch media where if I have an idea in my head, it clicks this gear in where it's like I have to like make that work now. I have like confirmation bias, so I have to see things that way. It very well could have been Player 1 had nothing to do with anything, and I was reading into it, and I would have read into it so hard from this point on. Because like I'm already suspicious of him, and now it's like, oh, Dementia, huh? Looks like my house, huh? Used to hide right there and watch your kids.
Player one, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be real. I thought he was just like, I thought maybe his kid was the one who like created the game as like a way to like kill his father or something. That's not at all really what happened.
Yeah, no.
But that's where I was going with the player one thing of like, oh, he's player one. He's like a burden on the family. They are obviously like putting him in here to get money, or like I thought he was kind of like a almost like a pawn for a shitty family or something.
Sure.
But then it's at this point that I'm just like, no, he's I don't buy this dementia shit because it's too convenient. There's some good stuff between these two though, talking to each other. This episode is really their show for a lot of it. They're having some good like moments, some good heart to hearts.
I mean, the girls also have some good stuff, but yeah.
Well, the girls have a super important part at like the end of it for sure.
And
this is where I started like playing player one, though. Like, I started to be like, okay, I like this character quite a bit. And this is where
Sang-woo really shows his colors.
Yeah, so I like something always felt off about Sang-woo, specifically when it was obvious that he had an idea about the shapes and he like fucked over his childhood friend.
I think it was pretty clear that he was constantly thinking ahead for how he could manipulate the game for his advantage, despite the people without really caring about the people who were around him.
Totally. This episode was like crazy takes the cake in that regard though, because holy shit. So they play the game and Ali is winning because apparently all of our main protagonists suck at the game. Why would you join this thing if you suck at every game? Like, they're so bad. Anyways, Sang-woo is losing terribly, and he is literally down to his last marble after they play for a while.
I mean,
then he...
For why they're all terrible at games, think of it. Like, these are people who gamble and lose all the time.
Yeah.
That's why they're in the position they're in, mostly.
Where the amount the main character gets slapped from the first game that had no stakes at all. You should have thought about that a little harder. Anyways,
like, I wonder if they only like that there's someone who like won that game on the first try and then they just don't get invited. Like, only invite people to the actual game if they're terrible.
Honestly, I bet there is. I bet like that's a thing.
Yeah.
Because why would you invite somebody who's just like, oh, I win again? What is that? 50 in a row?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you do invite him though, because it's kind of for the show of it. It's not for like you losing money. I don't know. Maybe you do. Who knows? We'll never know because everybody in this series sucks at games.
They're all terrible. Maybe if you're good at it, maybe you become a salesman. I think that's how that happens.
Sang-woo is basically dead. He has 1 left or 2 left or like a very low amount. And that's when he suddenly gets the bright idea of, we could actually both win this, man. You just got to trust me. Spoiler alert, if anybody ever says, you just got to trust me, don't. The idea being that he's going to hide his marbles under his like shirt or whatever. What does he do? He puts his marbles under his coat, takes off his shirt, kind of rips it to make him a marble bag, a carrier around.
So his marbles will be secure while he's walking around.
Yeah, so nobody steals them from him.
Yeah.
Because they're going to walk around and try to do a thing or whatever. But this is all
it's all predicated on the idea that like, oh, other people are going to be in a situation where neither of them has won, and it's not like they're going to kill all of the people who don't finish. It's like, have you been paying attention to they're just going to murder a few. That's not
so stupid.
It's not believable. Poor,
I feel so bad for Ali
poor
because
Ali.
he's done so dirty.
He's done
And
so dirty, and he's such a pure soul.
so everything was basically just a ruse for the sleight of hand trick of Sungwoo taking a bunch of rocks, putting them in his empty bag, and then hiding them so it looks like that's the bag of marbles, while he essentially pocketed the marble bag, like Ali's marble bag, and puts his one into it, and then goes up to a guard while he's looking around for other people to join their grand plan. And there's this moment of like him walking out of the arena and then just seeing like Ali basically get fucking murdered in the background. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, what a bad moment. That made me so angry. Holy fuck. I was so mad.
Look, we've got a villain now.
Yeah. Great. Great.
It's so evil.
It's so bad. Sae-byeok and Ji-young talk a whole bunch. We find out more kind of about her family and her defecting from North Korea or getting out of it.
Yeah.
And what she's going to be using the money for is specifically to help her brother who's in like a child facility or child care facility. While her parents, I think her dad is dead and her mother's like captured or something when they made the run. Something like this anyway. Anyways, the brother's alone here. That's kind of the takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out she killed her father. I don't remember why. Do you remember why she killed her dad?
Because her dad killed her mother.
That's right.
You saw him there, and then she killed him.
Then she killed him. We find out at some point during this, she doesn't actually know her family name, her last name, which is why her name is just Ji-young. And they just have kind of a discussion about what they're going to do afterwards and how she should get some mojitos or whatever because they're good. And yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but Ji-young keeps saying like, "Oh, we'll do that together," and then go.
Yeah, we'll get out of this together. Yeah. Oh man, there's like a spoilery thing. We'll talk about this after. We'll talk about that after. There's a big like moment that happens, or that's kind of a fun callback. Anyways, we find the time is down. We go like they've been talking this whole time while this is happening. They've kind of been cutting away between all of them, and at the end of time here, they finally decide to play their game. Ji-young loses on purpose. Their game was whoever can throw their marble to that wall closest wins.
Yeah.
She lets the main girl go first. She like throws it kind of haphazardly, not really caring too much, but like trying. Mm-hmm. Whereas Ji-young just drops her marble and says, "You win," or whatever. There's a whole moment of her crying and like, that's what you meant by "you're gonna make sure I win, isn't it?" and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's a really touching moment that like when we talk about it in a podcast loses all its emotionality.
Totally.
But it's a really strong moment. It's super super cool. Also, it makes sense because the whole talk we find out that Ji-young has nothing to live for and Sae-byeok does. That's kind of like what we find out.
Uh-huh. She wins through conversation of having having other people she's fighting for or whatever.
Yeah, what is she, Ash Ketchum? Jesus Christ. the best loser ever. And now finally we go to our main group, Ji-young and player 1 with Ji-young he's dead. Like, he's down to his last couple marbles or whatever. They're playing the gambling game because of course they are. But he starts winning by manipulating player 1's dementia and like short-term memory problems or whatever. Like there's a lot of moments of like he was about to like lose and then he's like, "Wait, what did you say?" And then he changes his answer so that he wins, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like a really shitty thing to do, but I mean, when it's for your life, I guess why wouldn't you, right? Yeah,
This is definitely a moment where I'm like, he is 100% letting him win now.
Yeah. Yep, because he does. Jihyun ends up winning. When player one says, "I don't have any more marbles" or whatever, and there's like music swelling.
Except then he has, he like gets it all down, but then player one does still have one marble left right at the end, and then wanders off before the last bit.
Yeah, the last bit, player one kind of like knows that he was like saying something about like, I can't remember the comment he makes, but he makes one of those like passive aggressive comments of like, what, so you can use my mind against me, or some sort of thing. He knows what's been going on or whatever, but he still gives him the win anyways because he is his ganbu.
Yeah.
And then the last scene is, "Oh, I remember my name. It's Oh Il Nam." And then Jihyun is like sad, and there's the big moment where he walks away, and then you hear the gunshot go off, and we know that player one has been eliminated because the big robot voice says so. And this is where my brain kicked into the second gear, and it's just like off-screen death. He's not dead. This is definitely a big ruse. 100%. I was sure now. They had no qualms about murdering women and like young men and stuff right in front of me, getting shot in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Why would they pull it for this? And that's kind of where it ends.
It is a thing of like, if the show was less like showing all its violence straight for it, this twist could work better. But because you're so obvious with all you're so like lovingly showing all your kills, that stands out.
Also, the name Oh Il Nam means nothing to us. So there is a theory why, we'll talk about that after. There is a theory why he didn't say his name before, but yeah, this is where we find out his name right before he dies. Next episode starts and it's called VIPs. So the players are back in the dorm go back to the dorm where loudmouth street lady, Minyao, is in bed waiting for them.
Yep. She just got to not play.
To sit out. Yeah, she got a bye. So good for her.
Good for her.
She was relaxing. No problem. So she was allowed to sit out. There's a fucked up moment where they're like, you think that was bad? Imagine player 69 who played it with his wife.
Yeah. That guy has a bad time after that.
That guy has a bad time. Also, I thought immediately, it's kind of weird that they chose the number 69 for that guy. And then I found out why soon after.
Oh my god. So many 69 jokes. So many.
Yeah.
I hate the VIPs. Like legit, I don't like them. They're bad.
Yeah, the VIPs show up, and the front man is the dude who like kind of meets them. They ask where his boss is, and he said he's busy, so he's going to be taking care of them for now. The VIPs are white rich men wearing animal masks that are the worst written characters of any show I think I've ever seen.
I think one of them's Chinese, but they all speak English.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they're actually all different nationalities. I think one's French. Like,
yeah.
I think they're...
But they all speak English is like the... And they're all... The acting, as someone who's native English speaker, is all terrible.
Yeah. The acting in this show is so good.
Yeah.
And then these fucking morons...
These clowns show up. And the other reason it also hurts for me is because like we've basically replaced the mystery of the organ harvesting stuff that was like my favorite thing in the show with these yokels.
Yeah. It's
Who are just
oh
making
my God.
69 jokes. Not my fave.
It's so bad. So the way we're getting kind of this background stuff is while he's still on the run, the detective has kind of taken over a guard's uniform by taking a guard out, like one of the VIP servants in
Yeah,
the back room.
a waiter.
Yeah, exactly. So we're getting this kind of from his perspective, and that's where he is now. And yeah, holy shit. So the VIPs are just super wealthy dudes who wear masks, like golden animal masks of different types that gamble on the games. This is kind of where we really cement that these games are entertainment for very rich people around the world to watch. Only this is kind of the only reason it exists is their entertainment. So they gamble and like drink and smoke and
they're like not that invested in it. I do find that part very funny. Like this whole thing, they're only like kinda into it.
Yeah. Anyways, so player 69 obviously had to kill his wife and is having a bad time. He ends up killing himself, and there are so many jokes about 69 and how he chose
one of the guys bet on him because it was the nice number. And then he bets on number 96 because it's the reverse of 69. And that's kind of the only information we really get about the betting, too.
Yeah. Oh, it makes me so mad. Like, I'm just thinking about it. So, Ted Lasso has happened recently. There's a character in that I hate, but I hate him because he's written well. I hate these dipshits because they're written poorly.
Totally. and they're like their performances stand out as being bad compared to
the real bad.
The rest of the show, which is excellent. So
somebody wrote an article. I had to look it up because I found it funny when I was reading it earlier in the week. They were talking about how much they fucking hate the white people in Squid Game, is how they put it. And they put, when you, for example, the VIP engage in endless exposition parodying information viewers already have. For example, when 5 people remain in the game, you'd hear this kind of forced banter. VIP 1, only 5 players remaining. VIP 2, and then there were 5. VIP 3, 451 down, 5 to go. Laughter. Like,
yeah,
it's
and they're
so
like,
true too.
Yeah, because they're here to like commentate on what's happening, but they have the worst commentary. Ugh.
They're so bad. Oh, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
And also, like, yes, I know they're supposed to be. I know they're written because this whole thing is a basic, like, classist, like, I hate rich people thing, and I get it, but you could have written them better, and they could have been better acted.
And again, they're not interesting, and they're replacing a subplot that was incredibly compelling.
You don't find it compelling where the fat white guy that's obviously from Texas decides he wants to bang an Asian lady boy, so he takes him into the VIP room?
Nope. It's not. What? And then that guy gets interrogated. Oh, he doesn't even shoot that guy. Ugh.
I know. Oh, it's so annoying. So basically, I was just using that as a segue to continue on what happened.
I was thinking in my head, I was like, he blew his head off, right? He didn't.
No.
He didn't.
He didn't kill him at all. He didn't even, like, poison him or something.
He's like, tell me everything you know about the game, and then leaves him knocked out. Fuck off.
Well, I mean, he records him, I guess is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he interrogates him, records it on his phone, and takes off at some point. The front man gets suspicious when he doesn't come back from the VIP room, sends somebody to go check. That's when they find out what happened. He's still alive for some fucking reason. And that's kind of where the front man decides he needs to step in a little bit more. even so that happens, but before that he announces the next game to them on like a little miniature thing. So this basically isn't a child's game, so I don't know where this came from, but there is a essentially tightrope situation where there are 2 rows of panes of glass, and each step has a pane of glass on, and there's one on your left side and one on the right side. The player has to decide which one to go on, because one is tempered glass, which can withstand at least 2 people, or around at most 2 people standing on it easily. And the other one is normal glass that if you touch it, it essentially shatters.
Yeah.
So, and they're split apart so that you can't like test them. You have to kind of take a leap of faith onto them from one to another, like a leapfrog sort of thing. He has a little diorama set up with all the numbered people as chess pieces, and I thought it was really cute.
It's also a thing, like every game, most of the games at this point seem to be like focused on the idea that they're gonna like get rid of half the people.
Oh yeah.
And this is one
going to get rid of everyone.
Yeah, this one is like there's going to be one person left. Like if they might have all died if like some things hadn't gone wrong on that end for like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is really fucking weird. The whole episode is based on them playing this game, and for good reason, because it's kind of a fucked up saw trap of a game where the others have not been. The others are kind of like, if you lose, you'll be executed. This is, if you lose, you'll just die.
Yeah, because those are like, I mean, the other ones are like actual games. This is...
Yeah.
I don't know.
It honestly felt like it didn't belong to me.
Yeah, no. It's like the introduction of the VIPs and this at the same time. It's kind of like, what's going on?
But I do like this like game.
I mean, the thing that really carries this episode is like, oh yeah, all our characters are doing this, and our characters are really good. So it's still good TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good time.
But it is frustrating in that way.
I wouldn't say it's a good time. That's probably the wrong way to describe it.
There are some good moments.
So, as you expect, there is a lot of early deaths while people are, no names, I'll call them, are going and falling through to show the stakes of the game.
The real game is there are 16 of them and they all have to pick their number. That's like where the actual game was. Turns out.
Oh, right. To determine the order they go in.
Yeah, it's like everyone takes the middle numbers first because protection, like playing the odds or whatever.
Like,
and then,
because people feel secure in a group, which is
they
like
bring up
inside.
One of the VIPs says herd mentality.
I'm sure like 20 of them, or like all fucking 4 or 5 of them said something like that.
Yeah. But so like the big thing, like Gihan is trying to pick his, and then he takes too long, and they all get snatched up from under him, and he's like, first one or last one? All right, I'm going to take the first one. And then a dude comes up to him and is like, please, let me have it. I'm indecisive, and I've never been first in my life. And so Gihan gives up being number 1 to this guy, and then that dude immediately gets fucked by what this game actually is.
It's the most Deus Ex Machina bullshit I've ever seen in my life, where the quiet dude who is indecisive decides to make one decision in his life, and it's the worst one.
Yeah.
Well, it's the last one, I guess, technically.
It's also like immediately, Gihan is in like the prime spot. Like,
yeah, very last.
Our characters are that we already basically know are safe anyway.
Yeah,
they're all at the back.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even worth talking about what happens in this episode because it's all a lot of visual stuff. The big thing is that at some point, the last remaining... Oh, they have a time limit also, just as a heads up.
Yes, that's a big part of it.
The last couple people... When there's like the last, I don't know, I think 10 people or so, maybe a little bit less, are on the bridge, that's when asshole dude starts deciding he's going to push the dude in front of him to hurry him up or whatever because the time limit's going down. The I can't remember his actual name. The thug is who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then when he realizes that he's now the one in first, because he used the guy in front of him as a tester for the next spot or whatever, he decides, I'm not moving and there's nothing any of you can do about it. Like, all of you can go first or whatever, but I'm not moving.
Yeah.
I think the guy right behind him jumps onto his thing to try to push him off, but instead he just, like, gets thrown onto the next spot. Yeah. Something like this. This is where we get the dope moment, though, where making good on her word, Meow decides to come up, caress him gently, hug him, and then throw herself off the fucking thing onto the next platform.
And fucking suplexes him off the fucking bridge.
It's so fucking good. Holy shit. It's such a great moment. And then the rest have to kind of scramble from there to get
And then it turns out there's a dude in front of all our protagonists, our main characters.
Who can tell the difference.
Who's like a glass maker. Who can see the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good
And they're like, wait, there's a glass maker? Oh, that's no fun. And then they turn off the lights at the end. It's like,
yeah,
you guys were really trying to make sure nobody made it out of this one.
Like at the very last one.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, but like you said, everybody dies except for our three main people left. The girl and the two dudes. Because that's how TV works.
Yeah, man.
That's how it goes. I think that's kind of... Yeah, that's kind of the whole episode.
Well, so the big thing that happens when the timer goes off is all the glass explodes, and like shards of glass fly into our people. Really. And Cybeck, like we find out she gets like a giant shard of glass in her abdomen, so she's actually fucked.
Yeah, and the other two like get cut up, but nothing terrible.
No. But, like, she goes to the bathroom, and she still has this piece of glass sticking out of her.
Ugh, yeah. On the plus side, when this is all done, they go back to the dorm, and they are treated to a fancy dinner and given, a tuxedo sort of thing to wear.
Yeah, they're giving tuxedos.
Yeah.
And also, like, all the other beds are taken out. There are 3 beds spread out in the room.
It's a cool little detail that as players have been eliminated, they've been removing the beds, so more of that room empties.
I do feel like they would have to really... I don't think they do, and they would have to really scrub it down to get the stench of humanity out of that room. That room must...
Oh, it would be the fucking worst. It would be the worst, so I'm sure it just smells like sweaty blood.
And then they eat their nice steak dinner in there.
Yep, they have a nice, delicious dinner where they're at a giant table that's in a triangle shape. There's 3 tables in a triangle shape. They each get a side of. When they're done eating, their stuff is taken, but they're left with a knife each on the table in case they want to cut the game short.
Mm-hmm. And Gihan has noticed that Cybeck has like barely been eating.
Yeah. And they all kind of just pocket the knife when it's left because, of course, you're going to at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know shit's going to go down. This is where she pulls out the giant shard. This is kind of where we find out about it, even though we know something's wrong with her. That shard is not one I think you could hide easily.
No.
It's very big.
And she's bleeding a lot.
Yeah. I'm surprised she didn't like use her tank top or something when she changed out of it to like try to act as a tourniquet of some sort or something.
She does like rip and like wrap herself, but
Yeah, I guess it's just not enough.
Yeah. Because she does that
it's
when she's changing into the tux.
yeah.
That's when she's in the bathroom, and we get a good look at what the fuck is wrong with her.
After the dinner, during Lights Out, Jihan asks Saibok to team up because he doesn't trust Sangwoo. There was kind of like a moment in the last game where he saw Sangwoo's character for what it was finally. He's been kind of like, not gushy necessarily, but maybe like remembers him as his childhood friend this whole time. And
yeah, he literally shoves someone to their death on the tightrope
platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is kind of where he finally doesn't trust him. Yeah, and like us as the audience have been like, yes, finally, fuck, this whole time. And that's actually why he takes the knife too, because he doesn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a moment where Saibok is like obviously dying because she's like promised that we take care of each other's loved one, whoever wins or whatever. And then he sees her abdomen is just like covered in blood because she's bleeding out.
Yeah.
He runs to get help, and nobody's coming until at some point they finally do. And then we find out it's because they're carrying a coffin.
Yeah.
Because she was murdered with his back turned by Sangwoo, who stabs her in the neck.
Yeah.
And that was the moment I just like wanted to do something. Like I wanted to throw my TV out the window or something. I was so fucking mad. Holy shit. Holy shit. I was so mad. You don't even know. So this is a shorter episode. That's like one of the bigger things.
Yeah, that episode was really short.
It's half an hour. It's half the time, the other thing that happens is we see what's going on with Junho. After he took off from the island, he basically took some swimming gear, tried escaping that way, ended up being stuck on like a cliff edge on the mainland, and tried scaling it, trying to get away or whatever. Doesn't, because he's trying to send the message, the email or whatever, the text message of the video.
He's like trying to call his boss, and his boss like, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, send everybody. Send everyone. Like, send everybody for what?
Yeah. This is where Frontman catches him, though. They hunt him down while he's on the run. The Frontman reveals himself to be his brother, Inho.
Yeah. I will say, I 100% saw this coming, like, a long-ass time ago.
Yeah.
This was incredibly obvious that that's who that was going to be.
Yeah. What's not obvious, because the voice is done by somebody different, is the actor is a big-time actor named Lee Byung-hun from... Oh my god, what the fuck is that movie now? You've seen it. You and I have talked about it before. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm looking it up real quick here.
Well, he was in Age of Shadows.
I saw The Devil.
Okay.
Apparently in G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra as well. He's a big actor from Korea. He's been in a shit ton of stuff. Including a movie called Inside Men. Just to like backtrack for a second, and during the marble scene, Ji-young says something about how she recites a line from the movie Inside Men when she's chatting with the other girl, and then she says, "I can't remember the name of it, but it has Lee Byung-hun in it, and that's who that actor is," which is
hilarious.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. When I found that out, I was like, holy shit, that's the sort of thing I need to like talk to somebody about, because that's great.
Wait,
anyways, yeah.
He's in a... Oh my god, he's in a 3-minute parody short called Rush Hour 4: Face Off 2.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those, like, we need a Korean actor, get this guy, he's in everything dudes.
He's in it with... Sean Diddy Combs.
Thank God. The matchup we needed. Frontman with P. Diddy. Anyways, yeah, he shoots his brother and
He was in
falls into the
Terminator
sea.
Genesis too.
Great. And that's the end of that episode. Real short. Just kind of setting up for the last one. Obviously, the sixth game was going to be Squid Game. Like, that wasn't a surprise to anybody, right? It's called Squid Game.
It's called
they
Squid
literally
Game.
talk about it at the beginning of the fucking show.
If we didn't get back to Squid Game, I would like, what? Why not?
That's bad writing. If they didn't get back to it, that's terrible writing. Holy shit.
I'm honestly, as it is, kind of disappointed we didn't get Squid Game as a team game, which seemed to be how it was played. Like, why
would have been cool.
It
is kind of cool how they did it as like a final match between two people, almost like a sumo match or something. But nobody wants to hear about that.
Because they have it's Squid Game, but also they both have a knife.
Yes.
Kind of changes it a little bit.
So the rules are there are no rules. For anybody who forgot what happens in Squid Game, there's a moment where the VIPs are like, what is Squid Game anyway? Sort of bullshit. And that's where we get the front man who kind of gives the background of what it is, where a dude is defending, a dude is on offense.
Yeah.
He's trying to get to a certain area, and between the starting point and the end point, anything goes, sort of thing.
Yeah. They skip by the part where he has to hop on one leg up to a certain point pretty quickly. Like the handy, because there are only two of them and it's not like multiple people. The one leg part doesn't really come into play.
Yeah, and even like the two of them know it, where they like it doesn't matter. Like they're in there to kill each other. The two contestants at this point, they're not in to play the game.
Yeah.
So there's a coin flip to see who goes on which side. At the very beginning of the episode, Jihan wins and goes on offense. Sangwoo goes on defense. Fight happens. Jihan uses some shifty tactics to get past the first part.
When he grabs the dust to fucking dust him, I was so hype. It's like, hell yeah.
That was some good shit. Yeah. Imagine if in sumo, just a fistful of salt.
Yeah.
He held on and just like, hand salt, right?
Yeah, that's how he gets past the one leg part, basically. So he just dusts him and then hops down to where he can walk with two legs.
Yeah.
It's so good.
The giant fight happens where they are interlocked in hitting each other and stabbing each other and holding the knife to each other. Like, I don't know. The fight happens, to which Jihyung finally bests Sangwoo, kind of leaving him literally in the dirt, just laying there, while he slowly walks to the squid's head, which is the point you have to tap to win the game. Literally gets there, and instead of tapping it with his foot, goes back to him and says, I want to quit the game, because he wants them both to go home. Where Sangwoo says, I'm sorry, and then stabs himself in the neck, killing himself and making him the default winner.
So honestly, the way Sangwoo's character has worked, I kind of feel like Sangwoo should have then stabbed Gi-hun and won, if that was what Gi-hun was going to do. Based on like what we've seen that character, like the horrible person he is, I don't know.
I honestly think so. It's weird because I think in the very beginning, there was obviously a part of Sangwoo where he was like a caring person of some sort.
Yeah.
I think that might have just been a moment where he's like, he knew he couldn't live with himself anymore after everything he did and whatever. Like, I think that was a moment of clarity where because he was suicidal earlier too. So suicide was never out of his option, but I mean, winning would be better. At this point, I think it was just a clarity moment of like,
Yeah.
This has to end. I can't deal with this anymore.
It's just, but he was so evil like 2 episodes ago or whatever.
Yeah, it is a weird, crazy turnaround instantly like that.
Like what he does to Ali, like that scheme is so fucked up.
I almost wonder though if it has something to do with that Jihoon is his childhood friend. It's harder when it's somebody you grew up with than it is somebody you met like a day ago.
That's fair, I guess.
So, like,
I don't know.
There must be something there, right? I don't know. Anyways, he asked Jihoon to use some of the money to help his mother, or to just help his mother out in general.
Yeah.
And this is where the episode or the series really starts to hurt for me. So Jihoon goes home and finds that his mother is dead. He goes home, he walks by Sang-woo's mom, who says, "Have you seen him?" And he doesn't say anything. And then she's like, "Oh, also, your mother hasn't been to work for like a few days. I hope she's okay. I'll get you some medicine for her." And he's like, "No, whatever." That's when, like, as the viewers, we know
Oh yeah,
what probably happened. And I was really hoping they wouldn't show it, but sure enough, he goes home.
Yeah.
There she is on the ground, and there's this heart-wrenching scene of him not even being able to cry because of all the shit he's gone through. Like, he's emotionally dead. He just lays beside her, puts his like arm on her chest and says, "Mom, I have money now." And it's like, oh my God, why? It's the worst. It's the fucking worst. Then it goes a year later, and I'm like, oh, okay, they brushed over that pretty quickly. A year later, he hasn't touched his money at all. He's still broke, or he's looking homeless from what we know.
He like got it set up in an account, but yeah, he hasn't used it.
Yeah, he was they gave him like a debit card in his mouth when they dropped him off. That he coughed up like a cat or something.
I think he moved it from there to his own account or something, but that's about it. Seems like.
Perhaps maybe.
Because when he talks to a banker later, and he's like talking like he set stuff up before.
They would have set it up.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because they would have just put his name on it or whatever. I think that was them who did that, and he didn't touch it. Because you're right. A year later, we see him on a train going somewhere, and it's because the bank calls him in and says, "You haven't touched, like, you made one deposit of like this giant sum and you haven't fucking touched it. Like, is everything okay? Do you want like there's a better account with interest that's better or whatever?" And the scene there ends with him asking the dude for 10,000 won or whatever, basically for the train home, or 1,000 won. So we find out he didn't touch the money at all, probably, and that makes sense. Totally can't after everything. Like,
he's completely shell shocked.
Yeah, it's worse.
PTSD.
He gets an invitation game card that's gold, like a VIP gold card that looks familiar to him, and says to go to a certain place at a certain time. It's a little bit before midnight on Christmas Eve, or what we know. I don't know if they celebrate it there, but what we know here as Christmas Eve, I'm guessing they do too. He goes to this place with an elevator that only leads to one floor, the 7th floor, for the 7th game, where he sees an old friend in a bed. Player 1, still alive and dying, it seems. Hooked up to like a machine or whatever, looking out the window in a hospital bed.
He was a liar, but he does have brain cancer.
Right. Yeah, he was a liar, but he's still dying. This is where the like aha moment happens, I guess, and we find out that he was one of the VIPs, the creator of the game. he was a dude in a gold owl mask earlier that we only see for a moment from behind that they don't ever talk about, that decides he's going to go play the game instead of just watch it this time. And says some dumb bullshit about what does a man with no money and a man with all the money have in common? They both get bored. It's like, you're an idiot. That's the stupidest fucking thing. You think the man with no money gets bored? Really? Okay. Idiot. Fucking moron. So he created the games as like the rich people version of horse racing or betting on horses. And they kind of play like another mini game where Ji-young obviously is like, I'm going to kill you, but you're going to answer everything I want to know. And he's like, I'll tell you what, there's a dude who drank too much out there on the street. He'll probably die if he's out in the cold too long. So if nobody helps him by midnight, I win. And if somebody does, I'll answer any questions you have, sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's the Dark Knight moment where humanity wins, where the Joker's like, one ship has evil people on it, the other ship is full of explosives and they can save themselves, and the big dude's just like, nah man, we're humans together, and throws the fucking detonator out the window. And humanity wins. Same idea, humanity wins, where it looks like somebody's going to help and then walks away, but that's because they went to go get real help, like cops, because it was a woman who couldn't help the dude when she tried to shake him awake. Yeah, it's just the last game, essentially. The seventh game, hence the seventh floor. No other button on the elevator is there except for the number 7. It's super like in your face and obvious what's going on. And yeah, we find out the games are based on old man's childhood memories and games, and how much he liked to watch his kids play. His kid play, and yeah, he dies.
Fucking cheater. He's a cheater.
He's such a fucking cheater.
He played the game, but he cheated.
Yep.
All the players are supposed to be equal within the game. He was definitely not equal to the other players.
Definitely not.
What a piece of shit. Not a piece of shit for, starting the games where human beings are treated like horses to
honestly,
be bet on, where they all murder.
Fine.
Whatever.
No,
that's fine.
That's kind of fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Cheating at the game.
Cheating.
Ugh. Unacceptable.
That is not okay. After this, Ji-young kind of becomes a little bit more normal and gets a haircut and his hair dyed red. It's so bad. Oh my god, his hair is so bad.
That is not the correct haircut for that dude.
It's so bad. He gets Sae-bok's brother out of the orphanage, even though she never told him his name or the orphanage or anything about him. But that's fine. He drops off her brother to Sang-woo's mother with luggage full of the money that he won, saying that this is the money he owed Sang-woo, so he's keeping his promises, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's leaving the country to reconnect with his daughter in America. And then on the way to the airport, he sees in the train station somebody playing the game that he...
Yeah, he literally sees the dude who he played against.
Yeah, Gong Yu. He sees Gong Yu again. And he runs to go stop him. Yeah, it was at this moment that I was just like, oh, they're setting up a thing, obviously.
Yeah.
So he goes to go stop him, but Gong Yu's already gone. He goes up to the dude who was playing, takes the card from him, then calls it later when he's about to board the plane. They say, like, don't do it, just get on the plane, just go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he turns around to face the camera and starts walking away from the plane, and that's it. That's where the series ends.
Yeah.
Okay. That's everything.
Yes.
Let's talk about everything about how the series tells you that the old man is not who he is. Starting with the robot sensor doesn't fully spot him in that moment where they like show him. Everybody else has like this green effect around them. He doesn't. And it's when you know, it's the most obvious fucking thing in the world.
Oh man.
Yeah. In episode 2, where they go back in the game, we see all of them get into a vehicle, including him. He gets into a different one, but they all get into a vehicle, and they all get gassed, except he just drives away. He's not gassed in that scene. The riot gets stopped when he gets onto the bed and yells to the camera that he's scared, and that you need to stop right now.
Mm-hmm.
In the tug of war, game, they all have chains on, including him, I will say, with like bracelets or whatever, the metal bracelets and chains. The difference is they all have locks on theirs, and his doesn't. So presumably he could have slipped out at any time if it got too bad.
Man.
The number 001 exists in the player records in every year except for the previous year in 2020, where it doesn't exist. It starts at 002 when Jung Ho is looking at the player records in the office. He gives his jacket. So there's a moment where he pretends to piss his pants or whatever, and Gi-young gives him his jacket to cover up. But during the marble thing, he gives his jacket to Gi-young, who no longer has his, and says it's because people might look down on him otherwise, theoretically, because when the guards see 001, they'll know maybe not to shoot him on sight during stuff happening. Obviously, the marble alleyway modeled after literally his alley and home.
Yeah.
And the big one, I think, for everybody is he isn't killed on screen. And that's just the rule of media. If they don't die on screen, they're not dead.
Yeah.
And even then, sometimes they're still not dead. But, you know. Okay. I got more information for you. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
All the deaths of the main characters were foreshadowed. So, Ali steals from his employer, and his marbles were stolen from him. And so he steals from his employer and walks away from the situation. He gets stolen from, and they walk away with his marbles, so he gets executed. Sang-woo kills himself, or he tried to kill himself earlier in the bathtub or whatever. The gangster guy earlier flies off a bridge in his death. The girl, I can't remember, Sae-byuk, holds up a knife to the one dude that she holds up or whatever, right to his neck. That's exactly where she gets stabbed in her death. And I think there was another one, but I can't remember what it is. No, that might be it. It's just weird that their deaths were like pretty obviously foreshadowed.
Yeah.
Early on.
There's like an analogous thing happens to them in the outside the game or whatever.
Yeah.
But we're there
exactly.
on the other side of it or whatever.
That's right. This is interesting. Episode 1 title here is Red Light, Green Light, because that's the name of the game. In Korea, it's the name of their version of the game that we see. I don't know what it is or like how to say it, but it's actually a double meaning where it also means the day hibiscus bloomed or the flower bloomed. And that's kind of like the start of like what's going on here. So we kind of lose that reference, unfortunately. And there's another reference, episode 6. I didn't write the title down. Let me quickly get it. Episode 6 is called One Lucky Day, translated to English. And what it is referenced to is it's referenced to a 1924 Korean novel with that same name that tells a story of a rickshaw man initially being happy and earning a lot of money from having a lot of customers on a rainy day, and was thrilled to buy his wife soup only to find her dead at his house, in her house, which is like literally what happens in that episode. Yeah, there's some fucked up shit going on. The creator of this developed it in 2008 when he was completely poor and living in the Korean version of manga shops, because he was homeless essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where like a lot of the hate for rich people and like being super in debt and just needing a way to get money and all that stuff happened. Also because he read stuff like Battle Royale, maybe you've heard of it, and very similar things. That's where he got like, he literally just his inspiration from.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know, there's just like some interesting tidbits going on, and then most of the other ones I just kind of talked about when they came up in the show, but there's so much cool shit going on in here. I think the writing is very good for everything that isn't a white dude speaking English in this show. Yeah, this was a super treat for me. I really want to see more of it. I'm a little afraid they might ruin it, and I don't know. It's just kind of interesting how big this thing got too. I see so many people talking about it, and
yeah, it really
I think it's
blew
deserved.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't love the ending to the season and how it like was pointing clearly to
him coming back.
Or a sequel just generally. But that's just kind of stuff like when I really liked the show is because it was like being mysterious and like you didn't know what was going on, and then it kind of gave that up and started being more obvious. Like with the VIP shit specifically.
The VIPs are the fucking worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're the absolute worst.
It was definitely a thing of like there was build up into stuff that I liked more than where payoff stuff in the show.
Yeah.
But just and that's like what makes it interesting to me. What makes it enjoyable is the character writing and the performances. So
sure,
those are kind of separate things, but I did feel like the writing in the second half or the back end or whatever was not as sharp.
Sure. I wonder almost if this would have been good with a few more episodes. It did feel at some point almost a little bit rushed, but
like hearing that it was going to be a movie and that the detective plot wasn't originally conceived in it, so that and the way that plot line ends in kind of a nothing way where he just gets killed. That checks out to me. Like I see that, like how that that's how this came about. That's why this goes this way, and that it's like
he didn't
super cool, but then it kind of peters out. Yeah,
he didn't write it with any thought, for sure.
Yeah,
it was
supplemental.
Yeah, I wouldn't say shoehorned in there, but it was definitely made so we could see the other side of the coin a little bit and like get some of that stuff, which is smart, but obviously not thought out enough to end it properly. I don't necessarily know that dude is dead. That fall is like
that's totally fair, but it didn't come back in this season of television.
There's a world where I could conceive season 2 him showing up on the shore and just like being out for revenge or something. I don't know. Man. But I could conceive him coming back somehow. I don't know if it takes a little bit of a leap of faith, because that fall that he had alone would be enough to kill you, let alone.
But again, like we see him shot in the shoulder and then he falls off a cliff and disappears. So
exactly. Yeah. It's hard to say. Maybe they meant that on purpose, where they don't know if they want to bring them back yet. But
totally.
They could. Yeah. We don't actually know, I think, if there's even a season 2 coming. I think the idea is that there want one to be, with this being done as well as doing as well as it is,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's standout episodes for sure. I think Gangbu episode 6 with the marbles was a standout by far. Even though it's the slowest one, I think episode 2, where we learn about all the characters, was kind of a standout in its own way. It's really the VIPs on the glass walkway where the tone changes, I think, a lot of the series.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it, but it did feel like it was trying a little harder to wrap up at that point. Because you're right. It's like, this glass thing is meant... There's 16 people left. Great. We got to kill 14 of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer, because I would be in it for the slow burn. But I think it was always written to be kind of quick that way, because it was originally titled Round 6, which is like the worst title ever. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it was conceived more like a normal kind of stock battle royale. And
Yeah,
because
I
of
think so too.
because of the way in which it got made, it ended up being more interesting than that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
The other cool thing I'll just say about the show is just like seeing Korean stuff getting popular, because like back in 2016, like I had 3 Korean movies in my top 10 for that year, but it was like Parasite in 2019 and this, like, it's cool seeing that stuff get actually really popular in America, because they make good shit.
Yeah, it's interesting because apparently it's been kind of a double-edged sword. Koreans are kind of hating it because the way they're from what I've been reading about, there's this kind of duality thing going on where Koreans love that they're being represented, respected more in this medium all around the world, but it's being done in media that shows their class warfare and class structure obsession and kind of like shitty people doing shitty things. Like, this is all about a whole bunch of like scummy people trying to make a buck by killing each other off, essentially. Parasite is like everything to do about like the low class people trying to leech on to what like little they can, and where the garbage that goes through, that movie goes through some crazy shit in that regard. So they're kind of like not loving that they're being acknowledged for having like shitty low quality people as their center, especially because they care about that stuff so much. Also, there's a story. Go on.
The thing that like I was always the kind of stuff that Korean filmmaking has kind of always stood out to me is just like it's a more of a throwback to like when American movies were more violent and practical and darker in that way. In a way, they just like big budget American movies are not at all currently. So it's more like just they're making movies that are closer to stuff that was coming out over here in the 70s or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of movies about murder.
Yeah, like their action, their horror stuff, it's just like better, and they're able to like they go all out with the violence and the blood.
Yeah.
In a way that our stuff doesn't. So that's why
that's
why it like resonates so strongly, really.
Totally. Yeah. Agreed. There was a weird story where I can't remember who, I think it's an internet company or something in Korea, is trying to sue Netflix for increasing the amount of bandwidth they're having to provide by people like getting obsessed with the series or something. Let me look this up. It's such a like stupid story to read, but Squid Game, Netflix sue. Yeah, Netflix sued by Korean ISP over the popularity of Squid Game. Ugh. So apparently, South Korean internet provider SK Broadband is suing the streaming giant over the cost of increased traffic and maintenance due to a surge in traffic generated by Squid Game. That's hilarious. They're like, we're so mad that we're being used so much that you have to pay us for our infrastructure. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But also, I guess I don't know. I guess I don't see the numbers. Like, if they're going from, like, let's just use small numbers so it makes sense. If they're going, say, from like 100 users a month or whatever to like 100 million or something in a week, that would be a big problem. So maybe it's true. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. Okay. I think this show is fantastic. I want to see more. I'm definitely okay chilling for a bit. Like, they can take a couple years or whatever, and I'll be ready for the next one. I definitely really like this thing, though.
Yeah, if they have I want them to come up with like a new good mystery to build around and stuff. I'm definitely down for more, but I do want interesting stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But so, yeah, any closing thoughts other than that?
No, it's good. Good shit. Okay. I had a good time.
All right.
Something was popular and it was good. Amazing.
Yeah, crazy. Thank you for taking like 2 hours to chat. I needed to get it all this out. So thank you for your time.
Happy to do it. I had fun.
All right. And thank you for listening if you stayed. Yeah, it's a great time. Got to talk it out, man. Got to talk it out. All right. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.